Not long ago, we found out Embracer was shuttering Volition after 30 years of creating games, and while the awful Saints Row reboot did have a hand in killing the studio, it also was simply because of Embracer. They have been spending so much money over the past few years and recently had a $2 billion deal fall through, and it looks like Volition was only one on the list of many studios to face issues going forward, because it is now being reported that they're looking to sell Gearbox quickly after spending a rumored $1 billion on it in 2021. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media so you can see when my content is posted, and of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and live streams I create, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or supporter via YouTube memberships. So, this is the first article I wanted to start with. It says Borderlands developer Gearbox reportedly up for sale. Now, obviously, companies being sold and shifted around isn't that surprising, but what makes this situation surprising is that Embracer has basically been eating up the gaming and entertainment industries. They have been buying so much. Basically, anything they can get their hands on, they have been scooping up, and they only just received Gearbox back in 2021, and while it's not confirmed how much they spent, we know that it was valued at $1.4 billion, so we knew that they at least probably spent like $1 billion on the company, and of course they have created many things, most notably Borderlands, over the years, so it seemed like a pretty good deal. Gearbox is very well known. They always come out with new games that, tend to get a lot of attention, and it seemed like a no-brainer for Embracer, but now it seems like they're starting to panic behind the scenes because they have spent billions and billions of dollars in just the past few years, and it seems like they are panicking now that one of their major deals fell through. It says it's being reported that Gearbox parent company Embracer is weighing up its options, one of which is a sale. Apparently, Embracer has received interest from a number of third parties. Neither Embracer nor Gearbox have issued comments. So we don't know if this is for sure going to happen, but it is being reported, and it does seem like Embracer is now trying to, find ways to make up for this $2 billion deal. It says Embattled Embracer is currently undergoing a significant restructuring that has already seen the foreclosure of Volition, the long-running studio behind. Earlier this year, Embracer announced that it would start to close studios and cancel games as a $2 billion deal reportedly fell through with the Saudi government, funded by Savvy Games Group, fell through at the last moment. Now, this was basically a done deal from what we had heard in the very beginning of the year, that they had been working on this for months. It seemed like it was pretty set in stone, and then one day they just kind of announced that, it didn't work out, and then they announced this major restructuring, which of course is one of the reasons most likely why Volition was closed down. Of course, I've talked about Volition and the Saints Row reboot quite a lot on the channel, but this is a major part of this story, the fact that, yes, Volition was shut down 1 year after the Saints Row reboot, and we know that the Saints Row reboot did not make money. The Embracer CEO came out in an interview and had said that it was disappointing for them. They were disappointed that fans did not end up really clicking with this game, that it was disappointing sales-wise, and while I am, happy for the people that enjoyed this game that they got the DLC, because we have gotten, I believe it's 3 of the major DLCs, and that was what they were planning to release. Now it's just kind of done. Volition, of course, is closing, or they already have closed, because it was effective immediately, and Saints Row as a franchise is kind of up in the air because, of course, we knew that Deep Silver was the publisher, and, of course, Deep Silver is also now owned by Embracer because their parent company Plaion was purchased by Embracer back in 2021, so we heard that allegedly Gearbox was actually going to be taking over Saints Row, and that maybe in a few years Gearbox would be the developers to create another Saints Row edition. But now that this is happening, it obviously doesn't seem like that's the case, so there is a lot up in the air. Now, I don't follow Magic the Gathering closely anymore, but according to Embracer, one of the few things that actually made them money lately was the licensing fees for the Magic the Gathering Tales of Middle-earth set from Hasbro. It says Embracer Group announces Magic the Gathering's race-swapped LOTR card set helped grow entertainment and services segment by 70%. It does say, though, that it's not the only thing that helped it. It says in the quarter, the entertainment and services segment also made a notable contribution, growing by 70% organically with a 15% adjusted EBIT margin. The high margin is primarily explained by a strong contribution from Middle-earth Enterprises, driven by strong licensing revenue for Lord of the Rings. But look, that's just a licensing deal for a card game. There's no way that amount of money is going to be close to what it sounds like they're losing on these game studios. Plus, again, it's not the only thing that contributed to this. The terrible Gollum game also probably helped. We don't know the sales numbers for that, but people were still hopeful it would be good, and I know that they were kind of boasting about the pre-order numbers, so it sounds like they did a pretty good job with this game, even though it turned out to be a pile of trash. Plus, you have the Lord of the Rings mobile game that came out a few months ago that got roasted, yet it was a whale's dream. You got to swipe your credit card on cool Middle-earth themed weapons and heroes, but those are the only major Lord of the Rings releases, so I do think that those helped quite a bit, but I did think that it was important that obviously, Embracer, one of the largest IPs that they currently own is Middle-earth Enterprises. Lord of the Rings is massive around the world, and I'm sure that they do bring in a boatload of money from that, but it, again, still isn't enough. We're not talking that is enough money to make billion-dollar deals and expect everything to, be rainbows and sunshine. And I personally have no clue how board games are doing currently. They own Asmodee, and they're one of the largest board game publishers in the world. So I would assume that they made that purchase because it would be financially secure, but at the same time, maybe board games are also doing pretty bad right now. Maybe everything for them is just kind of on the decline, so they made all of these giant deals thinking eventually they would pay off, and they just haven't. So right now, it does kind of seem like Volition was only the first in a long line of closures and sell-offs, and I've said this from the beginning, but it was always very suspicious what Embracer was doing. I never trusted all of these Embracer deals because it's never good when you have one company owning such a massive part of either the entertainment industry or video games, and they have purchased so much over the past few years. I think that it was estimated that they've spent $8 billion just since 2020 on entertainment and video game properties, which is pretty freaking insane. But yeah, right now it does seem like Embracer is struggling. I don't think that they're obviously going to fire sale everything and get rid of everything, but there are, IPs that they did purchase for steals, from what we understood. Again, going back to the Middle-earth conversation, we allegedly heard that they purchased Middle-earth Enterprises for $398.8 million, which is such a tiny amount compared to the estimated $2 billion that all of the rights were up to. So maybe they, purchase things at very low prices, struggling companies, and they now want to, sell them and make some profit off of them. We don't really know, and only time will tell, but it does seem like Volition was only the first in a line of many potential closures and sell-offs. Next is Gearbox, because they are reportedly up for sale. If there are any updates to this, I of course will be covering them in an updated video or, on social media on Twitter/X. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.